محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. Hello, saying who's Marcia today you're reading? Who's the kid? Hazim. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم هو الذي بعث في الأمين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم ذلك فضل الله يؤتيهم من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم ذلك فضل الله يؤتيهم من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. Today is the Friday and we have gathered in the center of Hazrat Az-Zahra alayhi salam to commemorate the Azah of Imam Hussein, the third day of Muharram. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our Imam Mahdi will accept our Azadari and our Majlis. When it comes to Friday and Friday evening, we are mahroom from another day from the Zuhur of Hujjat. And I was taught a dua on the Friday, and the zikr is Allahumma arresni bi nafsi. Allah protect me from my own nafs. Because فَإِنْ لَمْ يَعْلَمْ nafsik, if you don't recognize my nafs and what is happening to me, then I would not, وَإِنْ لَمْ يَعْرِفْ نَبِيِّكَ, I would not know the Nabi. Then second part it says, Allahumma arifni nabiyyik. God, let me know my Nabi, my Rasul Akram. فَإِنْ لَمْ يَعْرِفْ نَبِيِّكَ لَمْ يَعْرِفْ حُجَّتِكَ, I would not know your Hujjat. And then فَعَرَّفْتَنِي حُجَّتِكَ وَإِنْ لَمْ يَعْرِفْ حُجَّتِكَ, if I don't know my Hujjat, I will be in khusran. That's exactly the holidays today. Because, when we have a game, when we have attending an event, when we're going to a party, we're going to someplace to somebody's house, we're in a hurry. So he said, well, we are late. I said, why you're late? He said, because I haven't prayed yet. I said, but if you're going to somebody's party, you should have prayed before. No, 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 I hurry up. So what do? You hurry up your namaz. That's what happens is that oftentimes we don't take time to talk about nafs, nafs mutmainna, nafs lawwama. We don't hear that talking about nafs. That's what happens to us internally. This all comes from the internal. So Ruze, today is Friday, and we are mahroom from Hazrat Hujjah and his zuhur, and makes us to think and talk about today. Especially, I got a clip that the first Friday of Muharram, the first Friday of Ashura, belongs to Hazrat Ali Asghar alayhi salam. Is the world day of Hazrat Ali al Asghar. In some parts of the world, they recognize that and they celebrate it. This is the day they bring their children dressed as Hazrat Ali Asghar. They have banners on their head, and the start of a blessing of Hazrat Ali Asghar on the small children, boys or girls, especially boys. And the mother, um, at least this tradition, years before we had a celebration for it, we actually did observe that day of Hazrat Ali Asghar in the center. So I asked the sister that, do we have Hazrat Ali Asghar Day in the center? She said, yes. I said, good for us. At least we get to celebrate and teach our children that why we have that much importance for Hazrat Ali Asghar. And one bonus point is that in Tehran, there was a masjid that Hajat Ayatollah Ziyabadi, would conduct salat over there, and he was a hayat for Ali Asghar alayhi salam. And I heard from my own here, the Ayatollah, Rahmatullah, he told that this Ali Asghar is very important, it's very special. He only was 6 months old or so. And if you make tawassul to Hazrat Ali Asghar, you get results. You'd be surprised how many miracles and how many results people get there from Hazrat Ali Asghar alayhi salam. So, of course, I said something here that I regretted later. Yesterday, I said that we come here and where is the youth? And then I sat back there and I witnessed that more and more and more youth came in, mashallah. So, one thing that I was thinking about it since last night to now, to apologize for that, because we are only here as a responsibility for us to conduct the azah for Imam Hussein. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings the people. There are people that are new to this community and they came from Afghanistan, and maybe when they left their country, they didn't even think that there would be a center in the middle of the United States, and they were going to end up in this city, and there will be a place that, mashallah, beautifully is decorated for Imam Hussein, Hazrat Az-Zahra alayhi salam, and there is a place that they can come and find peace, and they can do their azadari. And especially, I noticed since somebody new came in, and as you noticed, he came and kissed the flag of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So I want to congratulate us uh, for becoming a center that people can come to find peace, and they find their traditions, and they can do azadari. And that's a very important point to make, that we should, inshallah, do our best to excel it, and inshallah, transfer the flag of Imam Hussein to the next generation, and they can carry it and do the azadari, and we will be benefiting from it, inshallah, in hereafter. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وأجل.
بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. For the love of the Holy Prophet and his holy family, please recite the second salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil faraj. For the reappearance of our awaited Savior, please recite the third salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil faraj. We continue with Imam Hussain alayhi salam, where he has journeyed from Medina to Makkah and then has reached Karbala on his journey of love, the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are people with him that are role models for all of us. And some of those people are people that Imam Hussain alayhi salam has invited them personally. And one of them that I'm going to have the mercy about tonight is Habib ibn Mazahir, where Imam refers to him as a faqih. So such an honor that the Imam of the time is calling somebody faqih. So the Hazrat Habib ibn Mazahir is an elderly person. And the Marsiya tries to describe his feelings and his sacrifice in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. آہ سوزاں لب تک آئی اشک ناب آنے کو ہے جوش میں گل ہے دھواں اٹھا گلاب آنے کو ہے سامنے عادل کے اسیاں سے حجاب آنے کو ہے دوڑ رحمت کے اب فرد حساب دوڑ رحمت کے اب فرد حساب آنے کو ہے بات مردن زو دیکھایا چاہتا ہے داغ دل خبر کی ظلمت و رخصت آفتاب آنے کو ہے قبر کی ظلمت و رخصت آفتاب آنے کو ہے یاد کرتے ہیں جو طفلی کو جوانی میں بشر وقت پیری کا ابھی بعد شباب وقت پیری کا بھی بعد شباب آنے کو ہے آستی الٹی ہے شین اب الٹتی ہے زمین قلب تھراتے ہیں ڈر سے انقلاب قلب تھراتے ہیں ڈر سے انقلاب آنے کو ہے نظام کر لوں زیارت آیا جلدم لے ابھی جو میرا مشکل کشا ہے وہ جناب جو میرا مشکل کشا ہے وہ جناب آنے کو ہے اے فرشتو ایک دم تھم جاؤ پھر کرنا سوال میرا مولا بحر تلقی نے جواب میرا مولا بحر تلقی نے جواب آنے کو ہے ماتم شبیر میں اٹھتا ہے رو کر کون کون، دیکھیے کس کس کے حصے میں ثواب، دیکھیے کس کس کے حصے میں ثواب آنے کو ہے آسوزاں لب تک آئی. صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. وقت بتا دیجیے میں وقت بول دیجیے میں اٹھ جاتا ہوں. بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. قرباں طلائے حبیب ابن مظاہر، یکساں صفت محرم مبیبات و طاہر، یکساں صفت محرم مبیبات و ظاہر، اسیاں سے بری طیب و پاکیزہ و طاہر، جاں باز جہاں دیدہ فن جنگ سے ماہر، جاں باز جہاں دیدہ فن جنگ کے ماہر، سر ہلتا تھا پیری سے خدراست میں غم تھا، اس پر بھی کچھ آگے ہی جوانوں سے خدم، اس پر بھی کچھ آگے ہی جوانوں پر سے خدم تھا، راشا تھا کہ قابو میں نہ تھے دست و نیکوکار، پر ایک میں محکم تھی سپر ایک میں تلوار، جب شے کی طرف تیر لگاتے تھے ستمگار، یہ بڑھ کے اسے روکتے تھے سینے پہ ہر بار، بھائی میرے پاس آؤ یہ فرماتے تھے حضرت، جب تیر انہیں لگتا تھا تڑپ جاتے تھے جب تیر انہیں لگتا تھا تڑپ جاتے تھے حضرت، انداز جوانوں کا بھی پیرانہ سری بھی، پروانہ جانباز بھی شمع سحری بھی، ابرار بھی دیدار بھی اسیاں سے بری بھی، زاہد بھی مجاہد بھی نمازی بھی جری بھی، طفلی سے یہ فوج شہنامی میں رہے تھے، 63 برس آقا کی غلامی میں رہے، 63 برس آقا کی غلامی میں رہے تھے، کیا شان حبیب ابن مظاہر کا لکھوں حال، وہ پیاس کا صدمہ وہ ضعیفی وہ سنو سال، کیا رتبہ اعلیٰ تھا زہ حشمت و اقبال، فرماتا تھا بھائی جسے خود فاطمہ کا، فرماتا تھا بھائی جسے خود فاطمہ کا لال، جو عشق تھا سلمان و ابو ذر کو نبی سے، ان کو وہی الفت تھی حسین ابن علی، ان کو وہی الفت تھی حسین ابن علی سے، باقی جو رفیق شہیدی رہ گئے دو چار، حسرت سے انہیں دیکھتے تھے سید ابرار، کی بڑھ کے حبیب ابن مظاہر نے یہ گفتار، یہ پیر غلام اب ہے اجازت کا طلبگار، بندے کو بھی مرنے کی رضا دی جیے آقا، فردوس کے رستے پر لگا دیجیے، فردوس کے رستے پر لگا دیجیے آقا. جب شے نے سنی ابن مظاہر کی یہ تقریر، بچپن کا خیال آیا تو رونے لگے شبیر، فرمایا کہ مجبور ہوں جو خواہش تقدیر، دکھلاتا ہے احباب کے فرقت فلک، دکھلاتا ہے احباب کی فرقت فلک، پیر چھٹتا ہے تو پھر یار موافق نہیں ملتا، سب ملتے ہیں پر عاشق صادق نہیں سب ملتے ہیں پر عاشق صادق نہیں ملتا. چمکی عجب انداز سے اس شیر کی تلوار، گویا سر آدھا پگری برق شرر بار، ڈھالوں سے بدن اپنے چھپاتے تھے سیاکار، اس دست زبردست کا رکتا تھا کوئی وار، کچھ امن نہ تھا خود و ذرا سے، تنو سر کو سینے سے گزر جاتی تھی دو کر کے سپر، سینے سے گزر جاتی تھی دو کر کے سپر کو، پیری میں جو دکھلائی جوانوں کی شجاعت، تھرانے لگے عضو بدن گھٹ گئی طاقت، دم چڑھ گیا گرمی سے ہوئی پیاس کی شدت، دل سے کہا اب عالم فانی سے ہے رخصت، نے لشکر آدھا کو نہ شمشیر کو دیکھا، کس یا سے مڑ کر رخ شبیر کو کس یا سے مڑ کر رخ شبیر کو دیکھا، پھر نہ تھا کہ بس پڑنے لگی تیروں کی بوچھار، دیکھا جو ادھر پشت پر نیزے کا لگا وار، چاہا اسے مارے کے لگی فرق پر تلوار، اور ظلم کی برچھی بھی کلیجے کے ہوئی پار، کہتے تھے تنو جان شہ دلگیر کے صدقے ہر زخم نارا تھا کہ شبیر کے ساتھ، ہر زخم پنارا تھا کہ شبیر کے صدقے. صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد.
صلوات. اے چاند کربلا کے، تو نے تو دیکھے ہوں گے، اترے تھے اس زمین پر عرش بری کے تارے، اے چاند، اے چاند جلوہ گر ہے ہاشم کا چاند، یہاں پر خیرات روشنی کی لے لیجیو یہاں سے، اے چاند، اے چاند اس زمین پر رکھیو ہمیشہ ٹھنڈک، سوتے جو ہیں یہاں پہ زہرا کے ہیں یہ پیارے، اے چاند کربلا کے. تسنیم و سلسبیل و کوثر کے ہیں یہ مالک، مارے گئے جو پیاسے اس نہر کے کنارے، اے چاند. حر اور حبیب جیسے جانباز اور احبا مارے گئے یہیں پر انصار شاہدی کے، اے چاند.
مارے گئے یہیں پر بے دردیوں ستم سے مسلم کے دونوں پیارے زینب کے دونوں بیٹے اے چاند پامال ہو رہی تھی قاسم کی لاش رن میں عباس اور سرور چنتے تھے ان کے ٹکڑے اے چاند بازو کٹے یہیں پر عباس با وفا کے اس میں وغا نہ پایا پانی بھی لا نہ پائے اے چاند اس سرزمین پہ گزرا سرور پہ یہ بھی صدمہ سینے پہ کھائی برچھی ہم شکل مصطفیٰ نے اے چاند پانی پلانے لائے ایک محلقہ کو سرور کیا جغل ہرملا نے تیرے ستم لگا کے اے چاند گردن چھدی پسر کی بازو چھدا پدر کا دونوں تڑپ تڑپ کر پیاسے جہاں سے گزرے اے چاند اس بن میں ایک بچی بابا کو ڈھونڈتی تھی بکھرے ہوئے پڑے تھے جب سربری دلاشے اے چاند پھر یہ بھی تو نے دیکھا وہ غم رسیدہ بچی سینے پہ سو رہی تھی بے سر پہ در سے لپٹی اے چاند بازو بندھے یہیں پر پہلے پہل حرم کے اس سرزمین سے نکلے سجاد سر جھکائے اے چاند شہزادے جناحی مالک ہے کربلا کا کس کی مجال آئے جب تک نہ وہ بلائے اے چاند پہنچے ہیں کربلا میں جو لوگ صبت جعفر اے کاش پھر مقدر ان کو یہ دن دکھائے اے چاند کربلا کے تو نے تو دیکھے ہوں گے اترے تھے اس زمین پر عرش بری کے تارے اے چاند تھینک یو. درود.
سورة المباركة الفاتحة. بسم الله. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله على ابن رسول الله روحي وجسمي وأرواح العالمين لك الفداء يا غريب ويا مظلوم كربلاء ثم السلام عليكم يا أهل العزاء الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته مع الصلوات. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فانتظروا إني معكم من المنتظرين. صلوات. Mu'mineen, these are verses from chapter 7, Surah Arafah, verse number 71. The message is the one which we have been talking before, and that is those who have doubts, those who question, those who query, those who think they know better than the Prophet. For them, the message from Allah is very clear, and that is, tell them, wait, I am waiting, and those others also will be waiting. Just wait. What you don't believe, we'll see it. It will happen. Our discussion so far has been, therefore, on the concept of the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what we have established so far is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His infinite mercy, that when He created his creation, He wanted His creation to be very much connected to Him. He did not want to create them and leave them on their own. He wanted them to be connected to Him. And by so doing, get the most that they can get from Him in this world and in the hereafter. That is the reason why there has been this question of tests. Because if there were no tests, if everybody got everything that he wanted, they would not have that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They would not grow physically, forget about it. Internally, spiritually, they would not grow. For growth to take place, Allah wanted them to be very close to Him. And how can you be close to Him but that He puts you through tests? And when you go through these tests, the reward is enormous. And that is what we saw yesterday. We talked about the tests. We talked about the various stages of human beings who went through these tests. And that's what we are also going through, the tests. And our test, as we saw yesterday, is very hard. It's hard. The reward will also be very, very hard. Therefore, the dangers we mentioned yesterday, Imam teaches us of those challenges that we mentioned yesterday. Allahumma inna naksu ilayka faqda nabiyina, the Prophet is not there. Wa ghaibata waliyina, the Imam is not visible. Wa kasrata aluwina, and so many enemies allowed us. Wa killata adadina, and there is a severity of the test. وشدة الفتن بنا والتظاهر الزمان علينا. These are all the problems. We are few in number. We are divided. There are trials all over. And those who are giving us problems are the ones who seem to be victorious. These are all the challenges that we saw yesterday. And then the Imam have mentioned, fifth Imam, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam, of how in these era difficulties people will begin to lose faith. And then the sixth Imam went even more to explain that as a matter of fact, 2/3 of those who were believers will lose faith. This is the difficult time in which we are going through. We think that we are living in the most advanced and we are getting the most material, yes, but the chances of us getting caught up in this materialism is a lot. Alhaakumut takasur hatta zurtumul maqabir. These abundance will be such, you will forget about everything until the time when you get to your grave. We don't want to wait for that. And that is the reason why we are all here. This is the reason why we all are going through these tests. There are rewards for these tests. Those who succeed to keep their faith in these eras will be enormous. And therefore, those who are waiting, this is the time of intizar. We are waiting for the Imam to come. And we are going through all these tests and tribulations. Those who die during this period, a lot of us will die. We don't know when the Imam is going to come. However, those who have spent their time waiting for him, the Imam says they will be considered as if they were in the camp of the Imam when he came. Then Imam develops. It's a more than that. They will be considered to have been those who have actually accompanied Imam to go and establish his rulership. And then he went even further. He said they will be considered as those who in that process were martyred. This is the reward that they will get. Why? How? Because of the tests that we are going through. Then Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam says, you know what the position of these people will be at that time? They will be fighting among themselves and they will be spitting on each other's faces. And therefore, those who are there will be treated like flies, house flies. You know house fly, when they come, what do? Mu'mineen will be treated as shooed. They'll be shooed by the system in which they live. This is the test. The reward is that. Then the reward is, it is said, there is more than that. There are their sins. They are sinful. Their sins will be forgiven, and their deeds, any good deeds that they do, will be considered very, very virtuous. That's why you should be here. That's why you are here. And therefore, you should try to bring your children here, teach them. Right from now, if they learn to come here, bring them. They will develop this. Otherwise, you will lose them. You will lose them. And this is already happening many places. Teach your children, bring them here, make them come here. Sometimes they say it's boring to go to this place. It's boring to go to the madrasa. Try to make it lively somehow or another. Make it relevant to them. Bring them. Otherwise, you lose them. Therefore, Imam, the mother, the wife of our fifth Imam, reports. He says that the mother or wife, one of the two, reports that the Imam was worried. Why? He says, these people who live in that era, because we are there now, our people see us. They will not see us. They'll have to believe without seeing us. This will be the test, hard test for them. Therefore, the reward is going what? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, for one act of virtue you're doing now, remember, these are people who are just in front of the Prophet. Therefore, they do whatever the Prophet wants to do. And therefore, for them, you can understand how lucky they are, that for them, Jannah is almost guaranteed if just look at the Prophet and follow him. For them, the Prophet said, you know what? Your virtue, one virtue, they will come akhir zaman. For them, the same virtue that you do, they are going to be rewarded 25 times more. Say, Ya Rasulullah, 25 times more? The same thing that we are doing? Yes. Why? Then the Prophet says, because their faith they will be trialed in such a hard way. The trials and tribulations and adversities that they will face are not the ones that you are facing. Remember those days, people had to go and fight and be killed and all that. Still, the Prophet says that their difficulties, their problems are not going to be the same problems as you have. And therefore, their position is going to be very different. They are going to be rewarded this much. The problems of this time, the Ma'asumin, therefore, are very much worried about us. Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salatu was salam. This is what he said. He said, what do you say of those Shias who will remain attached to us during period of occultation? That there will be these Shias who will be attached to us during this period of occultation, period of ghaiba. Then Imam says, they will remain firm on our friendship. They will remain firm on our friendship. Let the whole world turn against them, but they will stay firm on our friendship. And they will abhor our enemies, Tawalla and Tabarra. Those who sometimes want to argue, and they say, no, Tawalla and Tabarra is not there. Ziyarat Ashura should not be recited because there's a lot of la'na inside. Masumin have taught us. These are most reliable sources. And if you still doubt, then wait. And we are also waiting. You think it is irrelevant? We think it is relevant. And we will wait. Hatta we reach your grave. Al-hakumut takasir hatta zurtumul maqabir. When you see death in front of you, then you will know who was right, who was wrong. Therefore, Imam says that they are firm when it comes to our friend, to us. And they abhor. They didn't say, go and kill them or abhor. Silmun liman salamakum wa harbun liman haramakum. You stay away from them. You draw a line. They are human beings, as we saw what Imam Hussein did with his enemies. They are human beings. That doesn't mean that those who are not friends of Ahlul Bayt, we should, no. Leave them where they are, but you know them and you draw a line. Then Imam says, they are from us. Allahu Akbar. This is Imam. They are from us and we are from them. Do you understand your status when you have love of Ahlul Bayt and you put aside everything else and you are here? Others chose not to be here for whatever reason. They can stay wherever they are. You can be wherever you are. But do you understand? Friendship is this. There are elements of friendship. And therefore, friendship is you have to show it. And therefore, he says, they are from us, we are from them. They are satisfied with our leadership. and we are pleased with them as our followers. See? We should behave in such a way that we are followers of Ahlul Bayt. They are happy about us. They are proud about us. This is what we say. The Imam of the time, every night like this, Friday night, he sees the amal of all of us. And when he sees that you spend your night sitting here for weeping Sayyidul Shuhada, he is happy about it. And if he sees you sat at home and you're watching your games or whatever, okay. He's not happy. You do what you have to do. But commitment, coming to these places, especially in these nights, is very, very important. Then he says, this is what he's saying now. It's what I was not saying. Maulana in the morning, Mustafa Sayyid was not saying on his own. Imam says, how lucky are they? You're very lucky. This is the Imam is saying. You're so lucky to be going through these tests and type tribulations. Bear with us. How lucky are they by Allah? This is Imam, I'm quoting from Asbat al-Huda. This is what he says. By Allah, in paradise, they will be in our proximity. This is Musa ibn Ja'far. To understand, therefore, the value and what benefit we'll get to going through all these tribulations, this is what is. Therefore, what do we do then? Very quickly, we don't have much time. Therefore, during this time, we have mentioned, we are going through this time of occultation. So how does the Imam help us? We don't see him. Does it mean that we are totally left behind? No. How does the Imam help us? There are three different ways. The first way is, as the Imams of the time have mentioned, that they prepared students who became role models. One after the other, there is therefore a system of ijtihad. They have not left us just like that. You have a choice. What is ijtihad? You struggle. Either you yourself, if you are capable to follow all those steps that Ma'asumin have set up for us to follow so that we remain close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be yourself a mujtahid. There is no restriction. You can be if you want to be, if you have the ability, the capacity, the courage, the knowledge to do it. Otherwise, there will be others who will do it for you. And this is where the concept of ijtihad comes. And this is what the Imams of Ahlul Bayt prepared. And that's why we are now left. It's not that we don't have any guide. We have. Therefore, as soon as some child becomes baligh, he now has to make a decision. He either decides to become himself a mujtahid, so be it. And there are conditions for that. We don't have much time to. Otherwise, if he can't, then he follows one of these mujtahid taqleed. And whether it's al-Khuyi, whether that type, or whatever. So those are the guys. Now, once you turn to those, because of they are models, we do not know, and they do not claim that they are in direct contact with the Imam. They don't say it, we don't know it. But the guidance that comes to them is the guidance from the Imam of the time. And therefore, the Imam himself has said, you are responsible to them. They are responsible to us. Rejecting them, you are not yourself capable, and rejecting them, then you know what your position is going to be. Therefore, it is very, very important. This is one way in which you have this system of ijtihad, which is frightening the world. Therefore, they always try to create problems, to demean them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will elevate them. Whatever plans that they have, Allah has a better plan and destroys them. Therefore, the system of ijtihad has survived and will survive despite whatever these people wanted to destroy it. That is one way in which, therefore, we have mujtahideen, we do ijtihad. And there are a lot of conditions, but that's a subject by itself. I don't have time to go into it right now today. That is one way. There is a second way, and the second way is the Imam of the time explicitly or implicitly helps. Now, explicitly is when these scholars find themselves in a position where they cannot make a decision, they turn to his guidance and he gives them guidance. How? Either appearing to them in person or through what is called iltiham, inspiration. They get inspired. There are so many instances where these ijtihad, I can give a lot of examples, we don't have much time. Sheikh Mufid is one of those earlier mujtahid, if you want to call him, scholar. And there comes a question to him. He is now representing the Imam of the time. A woman is sick, she passes away, there is a child in her womb. They come to him and say, what is the ruling? She has died, the child is in the stomach. Can we tear the stomach of a dead person? Is it not against the Sharia? What do we say? What do I do? He, considering the rules or regulations and his knowledge and understanding at the time, he said, no, bury this woman with the child. It's okay, fine. Matter was over. A couple of years, the parent of the child pays him a visit with a child, a small young child. And he says, I'm so happy. Now this is child, you saved his life. You first told us that we should bury him, the child with the mother. And then you came and sent somebody to reverse there. No. He was shocked. He hadn't done it. He said, I didn't do it. He didn't tell them. He says, from now onwards, my door of ijtihad is closed up. I would have been responsible for the death of this child. Close his door. The Imam knocks his door and says, when you are in a situation like this, I'm there to help you. Whenever anyone who represents me is in a position like this, I am there for you. I'll help you. Open your door. Serve the community. There are so many such examples that are there where the Imam of the time has helped. A very close friend, very much, I know him very much so. He tells me, this was in 70s. He had gone for Umrah. He had not gone for Umrah, actually. He was on tour. And when he came back, he said, let me go for Umrah. So he went for Umrah, and he went there. And he thought that he had been earlier, 1 or 2 years earlier, on a Hajj trip. So he thought the system would be the same. So he goes there. He gets down, all the houses are closed. It's not what it used to be before. So he went to that house, he stayed earlier. The man says, we don't have this anymore. But you keep your luggage here, you go do your tawaf, and when you come back, take your luggage and go. Okay, alhamdulillah. So he left all his luggage, except he took his handbag, his passport, his money, his ID, everything, because that you take it. So he took it, we went there, and started doing his tawaf. And there are two elderly people, they're very responsible people. He left his amana with them. Can you take care of this? I'm finishing my tawaf and I'll come and collect it. So yes, fine. He started doing his tawaf. Before he could finish his tawaf, it was prayer times. And in those, I don't know these days, those days they would not allow anyone to be there. They'll take you away, everything that is left, they take and throw it away. So by the time I finish the man finishes tawaf and goes there, those two gentlemen have gone, the purse has gone, everything is gone. And now these workers are running around, get away, the police, go away from here. And this man doesn't know what to do. He stands there, he watches, Ya Allah, what do I do? What do I do? Then he sees his purse and everything just where he is standing. And he said, Alhamdulillah. Now that he goes back to the restaurant, hotel, the man is waiting. The man who had told him, keep your bag and then you can go. He's waiting for him to honor him. I don't know why. He said he went, come, you are my guest. You stay here for 3 days. Stay here. And I am going. And he kept with him a worker to take care of him, provide him with breakfast, lunch, dinner. And when this person tells me when he was going away, gave him a gift, said, no, 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 I'm not supposed to take this gift. What is this? How does this happen? Everyone who gets into a fix like this, the Imam of the time helps. The Imam is there to help. That's what I say explicitly, implicitly. Implicitly is you want to do something, you do not know what to do. And then suddenly you get stuck and somebody comes and tells you something and you say, but how does this mean? These are all happening. But some people say ilham to you and me. Allah talks about ilham in two places in the Quran. One is to the mother of Musa and one to the bees. This is the Quran. So ilham, by the grace of Allah and by the effort of the Imam of the time, you get ilham, you get advice, you get guidance to all that. But there are, as I said, this guidance is universal, it's ubiquitous, it is continuous, but it's also conditional. There are certain things which is expected out of us. And this is very quickly, time is running short, I don't have that much time. Very quickly, therefore, there are certain conditions, there are certain requirements that are required from us during this time of ghaibah. When the Imam is not there, we don't see him, but he is there. It's okay, doesn't matter. He is there and he is going to shukran. There are about 6 conditions that we have to try, and each one is a subject, but there's no time, therefore I'll just run through this. First and foremost, know him. You should know him. That his name is Muhammad, that his title is Sahibul Arsh, his qualities. You should know who he is. Very important. If you don't know somebody, how are you going to connect with that person? You should know him. You should not only know him, you should know his qualities. You should also know that he has not rejected us, that he is there for all the time. Therefore, know and identify in your minds. You may not be able, as I said, he visits so many places. He can come to your center and be next to you, and you may not even realize that. So know one thing, all of us have to know this person, and the basic things about him we have to know. Number 1. Number 2 is then remember him. To know him is every instant, every time, whenever, remember that he is there, he is alive, he is aware of what is happening, and he is concerned with what is going through us. All the sufferings that we go through, he also suffers through that. We have to know, therefore, that remember him. How do you remember him? You remember him, think about him, of the problems that he faces. When each mu'min goes through difficulties, he is concerned about that. And intizar, he tells us, wait the way I am waiting. He has, as we'll see, has got a lot of powers given to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he does it bi-iznillah. The way Nabi Isa is mentioned in the Quran, he made dead people alive, those who are sick. All that, how many times it's mentioned in the Quran at that part? Bi-iznillah, bi-iznillah, bi-iznillah. So he also wants to come to help us. But he's waiting for Allah to let him. And why Allah doesn't let him, maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we'll talk about that. So first condition is you have to remember him, you have to think about him, and if you remember him and if you think about him, what do? Send him a gift. He's alive. Send him a gift. Does he need a gift from us? No. But this is how behavior in any society. You love somebody, you send him a gift, you give him a gift. What gift can you give to him? Whatever you want. For example, you read Surah Yasin and say, I'm doing this hadiyah to your Imam. Or I'm reading the Surah Yasin, I'm doing this hadiyah to you. Sometimes they say you send a hadiyah to his mother, that this is the gift I'm giving to your mother. And then once you give these gifts, then the Imam of the time said, you gave me the gift, now I have to give you a gift. That's the time to ask. If you want to give me a gift, Maula, then this is the problem I'm going through. Tawassul from the Imams. It does not necessarily mean if you turn to Imam that you are doing shirk, as some people are saying it. As I'm saying, fitna is there. Dua tawassul is being questioned and condemned by scholars, not from Ahlul Sunnah, from our own people. So we have to be very careful. So remember him, send him gift all the time, think about him. And therefore, number 3, pray for him. Pray for him. He's going through difficulties. Pray for him. There are many, many forces that want to destroy him and to destroy that structure that Allah has made and which he is operating, to destroy that structure. There are so many obstacles to remember and to love him. Therefore, what we have to do is to pray for him. That's why we always read those Dua Fajr and all those duas. We read why we are praying. Actually, we are not praying for him, we are praying it for ourselves. When you pray for him, you're actually praying for ourselves. That Allah should give us that ability. I'll be going fast. The 4th thing is accept his presence. As I said, you cannot say because he is not there, so we do not see. No, his presence is there. And therefore we say those who go for Hajj in the season of Hajj is there all the time. And I will not be surprised on the day of Ashur when you are in Karbala, he's there. And when you go for Arba'in, when you are there, you may also be shoulder to shoulder with the Imam of the time and may not even know about it. Therefore, as Zawar, all there are Zawar. Try not to push anybody. Or if somebody pushes you, forgive him. And try to remain as gentle as you can, concentrated because you do not know the Imam of the time is watching us. And he will be there. There is Masjid Jamkaran every Tuesday. There is this places of Masjid Sahla. Visit those places. You may be the only person, and you may see somebody else there. He may be the Imam of the time, and you may not know about it. Therefore, feel his presence, that he is there all the time. The next one is acknowledge his presence. And 6th thing is now have communication with him. Talk with him. Have communication with him. How do you have communication? You talk with him. How do you talk with him? There are ways to talk with him. Number 1 is that we send that letter to him, Ariza. Ariza can be sent, not only you have to wait up to 15th of Shaban, you can send it anytime. Write a letter to him and tell him of all that you need. And wait for him. Whatever is good for you, he will give you. And you will see it happening. And whatever is not good for you, will not get it. There is maslahat in it. Write to him. This is how you communicate with your family. Write to him. Send him a letter through Ariza. Number 1. Number 2 is ziyarat. Ziyarat Ali Yasin, for example. Ziyarat of Imam is there. When you read this, what are you doing in the ziyarat? Actually, you're talking with him. You're addressing him. You're telling him. You're talking to him. Every Friday, today, there is a ziyarat. And what you are saying is that ziyarat, I am your guest today. You're telling, I am your guest today on this day of Friday. Therefore, if as a guest, help me. You talk with him, 1-to-1. Then there is a 3rd thing that you can do, and that is these du'as. And when you get time, one of the nights, if we get time, I'll take one of these du'as and we'll look into details of what he wants us. What should we do? He replies, When we write, he replies. And there is a reply that those du'as that come from him are a reply. This is what you need to do. Very simple. We have that dua, we read it every day, in which he tells us, this is what you should do. There are about 30, 40 things that he tells you should do. That, inshallah, if we get time, we'll look into that also. And then there is this istighasa. When you are really at a fixed, really problem, there is this amal of istighasa. It is there also in Mafatihul Jinan. You can look inside and you can see for yourself istighasa of Imam Zamana. So these are the things that you need to do, 6 of these things. How are we going to do that? That is something which we all have to talk about. Don't have much time to talk more about this. This is that for the 4th night. Culturally, some of us come from some cultures. Our culture was this, that when we start the traditions of Masoom, everything happened on the day of Ashur. But our tradition was such that the first night to talk about Imam Hussein leaves Medina. Then second, we talk about Rood of Karbala. Then we talk about that Shaheed Hur. Then we talk about that Shaheed who represents all the other Sharif, as was mentioned in the Marsiya, that Imam Hussein particularly spotted him out and called him Mard Faqih. No one else was given that title. So then traditionally, then we started with talking about Habib ibn Madahir. And after that, we talk about the family of Abu Talib, his children. Who was his eldest children? Aqil. Therefore, we talk about the children of Aqil, the way they were martyred. Then we talk about the children of Ja'far, how his children were martyred. Then we come to talk about Imam Ali and his children. So this is the tradition that we used to follow. Unfortunately, I understand that this night is mostly everywhere they read about Ali Asghar. But I didn't do that. But good thing is next Friday also. Next Friday we'll talk about Hazrat Ali Asghar and the role of Hazrat Ali Asghar. So for those who wanted me to read this, I seek apology. I couldn't do it because I'm so much bound with this culture from which I come in from. So Habib ibn Madahir is one of those persons who we mentioned the first night, is the one of those people who write to Imam Hussein and invites him, Yabna Rasulullah, come to Kufa. What happened on that night when he was not among those people who went to help Imam Hussein is a story of his own, which we don't have time to go on to explain. Why on that night those people are Habib ibn Madahir, Muslim ibn Awsija, Burair Hamadani, why they didn't go to help him? There is something else that next time we'll explain. There is no time. But that doesn't mean that they forgot about Imam Hussein. Therefore, when the Habib came to know about Imam Hussein being in Karbala, he had gone in the bazaar to buy a dye to dye his beard. When he heard about Imam Hussein being in Karbala, he threw the dye. He said, this beard now will be drained by my blood that I give in the way of Sayyidul Shuhada in Karbala. However, situation was such no one could leave the place. Then comes the letter of Imam Hussein in which he invites Habib. Habib is sitting in his house with his wife, and this letter comes. Imam looks at it, he kisses it and keeps it. The wife asks him, what is this letter? He said, this comes from Imam Hussein. What does he want? He says, he is inviting me to join him. And what are you thinking about? Now, he says, I will think about it. The wife says, you're going to think about it. The son of Zahra is inviting you. You're going to think about it. He says, I was testing. See, I was not sure whether you would go and inform the way situation, even in the house, people did not trust each other. This was the situation at that time in Kufa. Therefore, Habib makes his point to go. He sends his servant outside on the boundaries of Kufa, and he himself puts dresses like he's going to farming, so that the spies should not suspect that he is going outside Kufa. So he wore his dresses like a farmer. He goes there. He is a bit late, and the servant is waiting for him. And the servant is now addressing the horse. He said, my master is supposed to go with you to serve Imam Hussein. If he doesn't show up, I am going to ride you. I am going to help the son of Zahra. Habib said, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. This is what is happening today. I am going, and therefore Habib went to Karbala, as it said, about 6th of Muharram. This is the time when forces of Yazid, one after the other, is coming. And when they come, they make a big scream. Zainab asked Fidda, go find out what is there. And she would come and say, Omar ibn Saad has come. This one has come. That one has come. And Zainab. Then suddenly she heard Allahu Akbar from the camp of Imam Hussein. She asked Fidda, go find out why are they screaming? Why are they takbir? She came and she said, good news for us. Habib ibn Madahir has joined Imam Hussein. And I have heard some Zakirin say at that time, Hazrat Zainab told Fidda, go give our salams to Habib ibn Madahir. And he said, when Habib received this salam, he said, look at this world today. The son of Zahra is sending salams to a man like me. Habib was very, very close to Imam Hussein. And he said he was one of what we call today a bodyguard. Wherever Imam Hussein was, Habib was with him all the time. Habib made efforts to go to meet some people in the neighborhood if they could come and help Imam Hussein. But even that, he did not succeed. Therefore, Habib was with Imam Hussein all alone. Up to the time when Muslim ibn Awsija was martyred. He was in his last breath. Habib goes to him and says, oh, Muslim, I know you are dying. However, if there is any wishes that you want me to fulfill at this time, tell me. He is in that position. He turns to the Imam Hussein and says, Habib, take care. Make sure you protect him. And Muslim ibn Awsija passes away. There comes a time when now very few people are left in the camp of Imam Hussein. This is the time of Zohar prayers. Abu Thamama Saydawi comes to Imam Hussein and said, Yabna Rasulillah, this is now the time of Zohar prayers. We intend to pray behind you. This will be the last prayers that we can have behind you. Imam praises him and says, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise you among those who remember prayers at the right time. Yes, we will have prayers. Make this request to these forces of Yazid. Give us just that much time that we can pray the prayers of Zohrain. Hasin bin Namir shouts out, Ma'adallah, Ma'adallah. What prayers are you going to do? Your prayers are not acceptable to Allah. When he says this, Habib ibn Madahir could not take it. Habib ibn Madahir says, he turns to him and says, you and your people, your prayers are going to be accepted, and the prayers of the son of the Rasulullah is not going to be accepted. Now I cannot take this anymore. Yabna Rasulullah, he turns to Imam Hussein, I will go and pray behind your grandfather. Allow me to go now and give my life in the way of Islam. Imam Hussein looks at him. This is his friend. This is his childhood friend. This is the person who was like his bodyguard. This is the person who spent his entire life in service of Ahlul Bayt. It is hard for Imam Hussein to let Habib go. But this was the test of the time. Imam Hussein tells him, Taqabbal, go. Habib ibn Madahir proceeds. Here Imam Hussein and those who are his companions want to pray the Zohrain prayers. The forces of Yazid are throwing arrows all the time. Therefore, there are two volunteers. These volunteers were Zuhair ibn Qaid and Saeed. These are the two warriors that stand in front of the praying party. Imam Hussein is praying namaz al-khawf. Zuhair and Saeed, they stand in front. As the arrows come, they take it on their bodies. By the time Imam Hussein finishes his prayers, Zuhair is wounded, but he's alive. Saeed falls down. Maula, have I completed my task? Have I done what I was supposed to do? Imam says, yes. May Allah forgive you. May Allah reward you. Saeed closes his eyes and he passes away. And here Habib ibn Madahir calls out. He is also fighting and he is being martyred. Imam Hussein went to where Habib was. The Mu'arrikhin, those who write, said Imam Hussein was said every time he went to the martyrs, but he said there are certain martyrs. When Imam Hussein went to them, his grief was very, very intense. One of it was when he went to Habib ibn Madahir. Habib had already passed away. He said, Habib, you left us at this time. There are these two there are these two martyrs whose heads were not all severed, but the enemies hated them so much that they tied their heads on a rope and made it hang on the necks of their horses, so that whenever the horses moved, these heads would be kicked. One was the head of Abbas ibn Ali. The second head was that of Habib. Imam Hussein remember Habib. The last moment when he was left alone, he calls out, Aina Habib ibn Madahir, Aina Zuhair ibn al-Khair, Aina Muslim ibn al-Sajjah. Then Imam says, oh you martyr, oh you warriors, oh my warriors, all the time you were there to protect me. How come I'm calling you, you are not responding? Then Imam himself replies, yes, you would have responded, but you are sleeping in the laps of death.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.
The pain of Hussein. Imagine, oh people, imagine the pain when his 6-month-old baby to the rivers took Imam Hussein. Only for water. By Allah, this is right. He was thirsty for 3 days and 3 nights. No mercy, only disdain. This is the story of pain. O Hussein, in front of the enemies you stand. Give my baby water, I leave him here in the sand. In case you think due to him, I will take water in my hand and drink using him on excuse. No, this I have not planned. No mercy, O Hussein. They didn't give him water, they only gave you pain. You took him in your arms and stood there in shock. Then they shoot an arrow made for a horse, and to your arm, your baby do they lock. Oh, your people, if you don't cry by now, your heart is made of rock. When we do cry, please, our actions do not mock. The sky is crying for these lips so dry. 1400 years, on the lovers of the Ahlul Bayt do cry. This was in the world when innocents did die. Yazid, I have one question. Why? How does one bury his baby in the sand? Ask Hussein. Asked Hussein. How does one take his child's blood in his hand? Asked Hussein. Asked Hussein. How does one give a sacrifice so grand? Asked Hussein. Asked Hussein. How does one withstand such a calamity? Asked Hussein. Asked Hussein. How does one see his son murdered in such a barbarity? Asked Hussein. Asked Hussein. How does one stand such brutally? Asked Hussein. Asked Hussein. How does a man to a mother a dead son take? Asked Hussein. Asked Hussein. To know how a man's heart this would break. Asked Hussein. Asked Hussein. How does a father feel when seeing his son in this state? Asked Hussein. Asked Hussein. How to know how a father can carry such a burden, such a weight? Asked Hussein. Asked Hussein. How does a mother feel when with her dead son? Asked dead son, her husband. How does a mother son, her husband nears? Ask Rubab. Ask Rubab. How does a mother feel when she sees her husband and her baby's head held up high on spears? Ask Rubab. Ask Rubab.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ali Naki. Today I will be telling you all the story of baby Ali Asghar. It was the day of Ashura in Karbala. Mothers were holding their children. What do you think these mothers are telling these children? They are preparing them for jihad, to sacrifice everything, and preparing them for the worst. Why? Because they know that Imam Hussein ibn Ali is on the right path to save the religion of Islam. Today is a day where we are reminded more thoroughly of how much Imam Hussein sacrificed. He had sacrificed his 18-year-old son Ali Akbar. He had also seen the martyrs of An Muhammad and Hazrat Qasim. But today was the day baby Ali Asghar had been martyred. He was the youngest of them all, only 6 months. Imam Hussein had heard Ali Asghar crying, and as soon as he heard him, he knew what Ali Asghar wanted. He was very thirsty. What Hussein did was he went to the battlefield and brought Ali Asghar with him to go get some water. He had seen some of Yazid's soldiers, and Imam Hussein walked up to them. He asked them for water. He said, I know you have fought against me, but this child has never done anything to you. Please give him some water. None of the soldiers got up to go get water for Hazrat Ali Asghar. Imam Hussein asked again and said, Please give this child some water. I will even trust you to feed him yourself. Then Imam Hussein had put him on the hot sand of Karbala. Baby Ali Asghar had then faced towards the soldiers. Some of them began to cry. Some of them began to plead to Yazid to give Ali Asghar some water. Yazid had gotten worried that his soldiers would turn on him and join Imam Hussein. Yazid then ordered his best archer, Harmala, to shoot a 3-headed arrow at baby Ali Asghar. Imam Hussein then picked up baby Ali Asghar and covered him with his hand as Harmala aimed his bow towards Ali Asghar. The arrow had pierced through Imam Hussein's arm and right into the neck of little baby Ali Asghar. Imam Hussein then yelled Allahu Akbar, retreating from the battlefield. On his way back to the tents, he pulled the arrow out of baby Eliezer. His blood had started to gush out of his neck. But as that was happening, the earth and the sky had said, "No, do not let baby Eliezer's blood on the floor, or no crops will grow for a long time." Imam Hussein had no other choice but to wipe the blood on his face. When he was near the tent, he saw Rabab, who was anxious to see if baby Eliezer's thirst had been quenched. Imam Hussein had been pacing back and forth 7 times while saying Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, which translates to "We are from Allah, and to Him we will return." When he returned to his tent after Rabab saw baby Eliezer dead, Imam Hussein said, "Let's go bury him." They both went back to the back of the tents. Imam Hussein dug a hole with the sword, the Zulfiqar, and put Eliezer in it. That, my fellow Hussainis, is the story of Eliezer. Salawat.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya सीनों में यही दिल है अज़ा खाने शबीर, सीनों में यही दिल है अज़ा खाने शबीर, सर में यही संगे दर का शान शबीर, पहुंचाएंगे दुनिया में हम अफसाने शबीर, ऐ सल्ले अला जलवे जानान शबीर, हम आशिक शबीर हैं परवाने शबीर, हम आशिक शबीर हैं परवाने शबीर, सर जिसका उतारा गया सजदे में खुदा के, नींद आई जिसे सारे जमाने को जगा के, जो सो गया आंधी में चिराग अपना जला के, ऐ सल्ले अला जलवे जानान शबीर, हम आशिक शबीर हैं परवाने शबीर, हम आशिक शबीर हैं परवाने, ہم اس کے فدائی ہیں جو 2 دن کا تھا پیاسا، پانی نہ ملا جس کو دم ذبح ذرا سا، زہرا کا جگر بند محمد کا نواسا، اے صلی علی جلوہ جانان شبیر، ہم عاشق شبیر ہیں پروان شبیر، ہم عاشق شبیر ہیں پروان، دیکھا نہ سنا یوں کسی سلطان کا ماتم، ایسا نہ ہوا ناشر قرآن کا ماتم، 1300 برس سے ہے عجب شان کا ماتم، اے صلی علی جلوہ جانان شبیر، ہم عاشق شبیر پروان ہم عاشق شبیر ہیں پروان، مقبول یہ کوشش ہو کہاں ایسا مقدر، شاید اسی تدبیر سے بخشش ہو میسر، تم بھی کہو اے نجم یہ پروانوں میں مل کر، اے صلی علی جلوہ جانان شبیر، ہم عاشق شبیر ہیں پروان شبیر، ہم عاشق شبیر ہیں پروان شبیر، یا حسین
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین پکار، یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین، پکارا دل سے کسی نے جہاں جہاں پاس، مدد کے واسطے پہنچے وہاں وہاں باس، پکارا جہاں جہاں باس، حسین والوں پہ اتنے ہیں مہربان باس، والوں پہ اتنے ہیں مہربان باس، جہاں حسین کہا گئے وہاں باس، پکارا دل سے کسی نے جہاں جہاں باس، ہے فرق اتنا فقط کر بلا و خیبر میں، ہے فرق نہ فقط کر بلا و خیبر میں، وہ مار کا تھالی کا لڑے یہاں باز، پکارا دل سے کسی نے جہاں جہاں باز، رہے نصیب تیری منزلت کا کیا کہنا، رہے نصیب تیری منزلت کا کیا کہنا، رسول زادیاں ہیں تیری نوحہ خاں باز، پکارا دل نے جہاں جہاں باز، سکینہ بی بی سے بچے یہ رو کے کہتے تھے، بی بی سے بچے یہ رو کے کہتے تھے، علم نظر نہیں آتا گئے کہاں باز، پکارا دل سے کسی نے جہاں جہاں باز، قلم کے سائے میں کہتے چلو حسین حسین، سائے میں کہتے چلو حسین حسین، خدا کے فضل ہے میرے میرے کارواں عباس، پکارا دل سے کسی نے جہاں جہاں عباس، کوئی مٹا نہیں سکتا ہے ہمیں زمانے میں، مٹا نہیں سکتا ہے ہمیں زمانے میں، حسینیوں پہ ہمیشہ ہے پاسباں عباس، پکارا دل سے کسی نے یہاں جہاں عباس، ہے جس پہ بھی تیرے پرچم کا سایہ دنیا میں، ہے جس کا بھی تیرے پرچم کا سایہ دنیا میں، ہر ایک بلا سے ہے محفوظ وہ مقام عباس، پکارا دل سے کسی نے جہاں جہاں عباس، یہاں جو ہاتھ اٹھائے ہیں ماتم شہ میں، جو ہاتھ اٹھائے ہیں ماتم شہ میں، اسے حسین سے ملوا کے وہاں عباس، پکارا دل حسین مل گئے مجھ کو یہی میں سمجھوں گا، مل گئے مجھ کو یہی میں سمجھوں گا، ہوئے جو مجھ پر تم ایک بار مہرباں عباس، پکارا دل سے کسی نے جہاں جہاں عباس، وہاں وہاں میں زمانے میں در سے راہ وفا، وہاں وہاں میں زمانے میں در سے راہ وفا، جہاں جہاں تیرے قدموں کے ہیں نشان عباس، پکارا دل سے کسی نے خدا کے دین کی صورت، کلام حق کی قسم، کے دین کی صورت، کلام حق کی قسم، نبی کے گھر میں ہوئے تھے سے جہاں عباس، پکارا دل سے کسی نے جہاں جہاں عباس، یا حسین یا حسین۔
به حسن و حسین هر دو برادر صلوات. الهی بهر قربانی به درگاهت سر آوردم، الهی بهر قربانی به درگاهت سر آوردم الهی بر قربانی به درگاهت سر آوردم الهی بر گاهت سر آوردم نه تنها سر برایت بلکی از سر بهتر آوردم نه تنها سر برایت بلکی از سر بهتر آوردم پی ابقای قد قامت بزهری روزی عاشورا برای گفتنی الله اکبر اکبر آوردم الهی بر قربانی به درگاهت سر آوردم الهی بر قربانی الهی بهر قربانی به درگاهت سر آوردم برای کشتنی دونان بدشتی کربلا یا رب برای کشتنی دونان بدشتی کربلا یا رب چو عباسی همایون فر امیری لشکر آوردم الهی بر قربانی به درگاهت سر آوردم الهی به درگاهت سر آوردم پی آزادی نسلی جوان از بند استعمار برادر زاده چون قاسم فرخ فراوردم الهی بر قربانی به درگاهت سر آوردم الهی وردم علی را در غدیری خم علی را در غدیری خم نبی بگرفت روی دست ولی من روی دستی خود علی اصغر آوردم الهی بر الهی بر سر آوردم اگر با کشتنی من دینی تو جاویدو می گردد اگر با کشتنی من دینی تو جاویدو می گردد برای خنجری شمری ستمگر خنجر آوردم الهی بر قربانی به درگاهت سر آوردم الهی سر آوردم برای آن که قرآنت نگردد پایمالی خس برای آن که قرآنت نگردد پایمالی خس برای سم مرکبها خدایا پیکر آوردم الهی بر قربانی به درگاهت سر آوردم الهی دم علی انگشتری خود را بسائل داد و اما من علی انگشتری خود را بسائل داد و اما من برای ساربان انگشت تو با انگشتر آوردم الهی بر قربانی به درگاهت سر آوردم الهی سر آوردم با پاس حرمتی بوسی دنی لبهای پیغمبر با پاس حرمتی بوسی دنی لبهای پیغمبر لبانی تشنه یا رب ریچو بیخی زر آوردم الهی بر قربانی به درگاهت سر آوردم الهی بر قربانی به درگاهت سر آوردم یا حسین
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین جواب دیں آپ لوگ یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا گونج رہی ہے یہ صدا یا حسین گونج رہی ہے یہ صدا حسین تجھ کو لعینوں نے ستایا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین تین شب و روز کا پیاسا حسین تین شب و روز کا پیاسا حسین دشت بلا میں تجھے مارا حسین یا حسین یا حسین بھیج کے خط تجھ کو بلایا گیا بھیج کے خط تجھ کو بلایا گیا تیرا وطن تجھ سے چھڑایا گیا بھیج کے خط تجھ کو بلا قبر سے نانا کی ہٹایا گیا قبر سے نانا کی ہٹایا گیا رہبر و تسنیم و رضا یا حسین یا بیعت باطل کے طلبگار تھے بیعت باطل ظلم و ستم کے لیے تیار تھے بیعت باطل کے طلبگار تھے کتنے تیرے سر کے خریدار تھے کتنے تیرے سر کے خریدار تو نے مگر سر نہ جھکایا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین ہائے محب شہ علی مقام ہائے بے شہ علی مقام جن کا حبیب ابن مظاہر ہے نام ہائے شہ زینب دلگیر نے بھیجا سلام زینب بھیجی یا سلام تو نے گلے ان کو لگایا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین پھر تو عجب حشر بپا ہو گیا عجب حشر بپا एक के बाद एक फिदा हो गया, फिर तो अजब पापा देखते ही देखते क्या हो गया, देखते ही देखते अब कोई नासिर न रहा, या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन। मादर कासिम का जिगर देखिए, कासिम का जिगर देखिए, जज्बे ईमान का असर देखिए, मादर भेज दिया रन में पिसर देखिए, भेज दिया रन में पिसर देखिए, जो हुआ पामाल जफा, या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या नुसरत बेशीर पे जाने फिदा, खेचे हुए तीर बड़ा हुरमुला, नुसरत बेशीर कता कला में शहवाला किया, कता कला में शहवाला किया, सूहे फलक आपने देखा, हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन। ढल गया दिन और करीब आई शाम, फिर तो अकेले थे इमामे अनाम, दे दिया सर खत्म किया अपना काम, दे दिया दीन नबी खूब बचाया, हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या
جهت برآورده شدن حاجات مؤمنین و مسلمین، بالاخص حاضرین در مجلس، برای اجماع صلوات بلند ختم کنید. صلوات دوم را جهت رفع خستگی خودتان بلندتر ختم کنید. مرد بجهانیان نشان داد حسین، در معرکه خوب امتحان داد حسین، از بحر نماز و روزه در راه خدا، لب تشنه لب فرات جان داد حسین. اجماعاً صلوات بلند ختم کنید. کودک افسرده من، غنچه پژمرده من، از غر شیرین زبانم، از غر شیرین زبانم، از غر شیرین از غر شیرین زبانم، از غر شیرین آخرین نخل امیدم، تازه جان سوز تو دیدم، چون گل نش گفته باب، از غر شیرین زبانم، از غر شیرین زبانم، از غر شیرین از غر شیرین زبانم. خنده کن یک بار دیگر، پیش چشمان من اصغر، بال و پر بگشا به سوی اصغر شیرین زبانم، اصغر شیرین زبانم، اصغر شیرین زبانم، اصغر شیرین زبانم. پر زدی بر روی دستم، من به دنبال تو هستم، غلغل از سوز نغمم، اصغر شیرین زبانم، اصغر شیرین زبانم. آخرین نخل امیدم، تازه جان سوز تو دیدم، چون گل نشکفته باب، اصغر شیرین زبانم، اصغر شیرین نم. بهر دین جان را بدادی، عالمی را درس دادی، تشنگی رفت از یادم، بین به لب خندم چه شادم. اصغر شیرین زبانم، اصغر شیرین نم. حلق دارم بهر پیکان، حلق دارم بهر پیکان، می کنم قربان جانان، روی دستند ای پدر جان، تا بماند زنده قرآن، اصغر شیرین زبانم، اصغر شیرین زبانم، اصغر شیرین نم. از آتش ناید صدایم، تا رجز خوانی نمایم، نور چشم مرتضایم، یاور دین خدایم، اصغر شیرین زبانم، اصغر شیرین زبانم، اصغر شیرین یا حسین.
चलने से जो लाचार था, और शाम का बाजार था, और शाम का बाजार था, और मुस्तफा की बेटियां, मौला हक इमाम या हसन या हुसैन, मौला हक इमाम या हसन या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन।
السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوسيين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليكم سائر شهداء كربلاء، خصوصا سيدي مولاي يا أبا الفضل العباس يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء، السلام عليك يا سلطان يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان، عجل الله تعالى فرجك
وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وزهورك. السلام عليك وعلى آبائك الطيبين الطاهرين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل
نعرہ حیدری.